Hi everyone, today's session is about getting results. And I do believe that a lot of people put a lot of effort in while they don't actually get the kind of results they should be getting. And I think the key there's two things. One is clarity, and second is communication. Now, these are very broad subjects. You could sit and check books on these subjects and probably find thousands and thousands and probably never be able to read a fraction of them in your life. But I think the key here is the starting point is clarity. And those who are not getting results, in fact, even here, in our own family here, in our own group here, I think many of them are not getting results because of lack of clarity, lack of very, very simple, basic steps they should be taking to start to get results. And I'm going to give you guys more clarity on that. The first step is, I'll give you an example on SETI, for example. Okay. SETI decided at one point, I'm going to focus on letting management. Okay. And they started doing marketing on that. They started doing ads on that. Either they were online or offline, but that was just predominantly your main marketing strategy is leaflets, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so if he at that time, at the time when he had started, if he was chasing his tail into 10 other things, he was looking at developments, he was looking at HMOs, he was looking at, if he was looking at 10 different things, do you think he would have come as far as he has now? No. The key is clarity, and the key is finding 2 or 3 marketing channels to bring you leads which convert, which you learn to convert, and that's where communication is correlated. Okay? Having simple steps as, you know, for example, we have Lavanya here with me, and her aim is probably be able to find more investors, which is what it's going to be in a few months' time. Okay. If she's looking for more investors, it's a numbers game. I know that. And I know that from experience. If she wants to get to a point where she can find really, really good investors, bringing in $1 million plus, 5, 10 million, she would need to work on her profile, her online profile. So that's clarity. And the steps would be that she starts to collect investor leads. Okay. Likewise, it applies to SETI, for example. He had clarity that he wanted to pursue one thing and one thing only. And then he said, okay, what is the best way to market and collect leads? And then how do you convert those leads into sales? Okay. Generation of leads for SETI, for example, is just pure simply doing leaflets. Okay. That's what we used to do in our show for business as well. We used to do, I think roughly about, we used to have 2 men out, I think it was 5 or 6 days a week. And our normal monthly budget at that point was roughly between 1,000 to 1,200 a month. Okay. That was the monthly budget just to do carding, just to do leaflets. Okay. And from that, you don't need tons of business. You just need sometimes 1 or 2 really good leads. Okay. We ended up connecting from those leaflets to one major listed company in India that gave us business for almost 10 years. And I'm talking about business worth over £1 million. Okay. Likewise, it applies to SETI. He started doing leaflets, generation of leads. And I'm pretty sure at one point when he had started, he was going himself to convert those leads with his partner. Is that correct, SETI?
We're doing it again right now.
You still do it. You still do it.
When it comes to valuations, we're back on the road. We're doing it. We're doing it back to the hard graft.
Okay. So it's very, very simply having clarity to what is it that you want first. Because I literally look at so many people and they'll go through this journey of shiny penny syndrome. Okay. It's almost like the grass is always greener on the other side. It's just never greener where you are. And I always say the grass is always greener where you are. You just need to dig deeper. That's all it is. You just have not dug deep enough to find where the gold is. Okay? Stay in your lane, stay in your strategy lane, stay where you are, and find the right kind of way to monetize that. Okay? Initially, when you start your journey, you will have all these confusions, but I'm pretty sure by now, when I've shared with you the most profitable and the least profitable strategies, and in exactly the same format, the correlation of taking the most time as the most profitable strategy to the least profitable strategy. If you take rent to rent, you can do this in a month. While you look at a land deal, that takes months, sometimes years. Okay? So the more profitable the strategy is, the longer it can take. In property, for example, it may not apply to other businesses, but for property, it is the case. If it's least profitable, it will take you less time. You can close rent-to-rent deals. I know someone who closed 8 rent-to-rent deals in less than 6 months. Okay? He's sitting on 7-8 grand per month income. That's pretty easy. That's not difficult. Okay? But that's not necessarily the most profitable strategy. Okay? But that does not mean that you should not pursue it. If you are at the initial stages of your journey, it might be a good idea to pursue it. For example, Seti isn't in the initial stages of his journey. He's still pursuing it because he's got the resources in place. He's already connected with 300 plus landlords that would like to have a more efficient use of what they already have. And that's where Seti is coming into taking a pivot into a second strategy. Can you see that, guys? Any questions, anyone, on clarity? Stay in your lane, stay where you are, dig deeper, okay? Even when it comes to sourcing, if you are sitting on 10,000 investor database, you can easily do a deal a week, okay? A deal a week would be £3,000. In a month, that's £12,000. By the end of the year, that's £150,000. And that's on smaller deals. You may odd deal here and there, you may do a larger one, that takes you to a double 6-figure income, okay? But that's a database of 10,000 investors, okay? You're not gonna get there in a day, it's gonna take you time, but you gotta have a system in place for that, okay? Now let me continue on to lead generation, which I've covered many times, but I'm gonna share with you another process which I think many of you are not following, okay? Which is collecting emails. Okay, if you are not collecting emails, you're losing out big time. Okay, if you go on to the Facebook PN official group and you try and join initially, it says, have you subscribed to our email list? That's one of the questions. If you haven't, you will not be allowed to join the group. From that group, I've had loads of people subscribe to our email list. Okay, if I want to be really strict, I can just reply back to them and say, until you have to subscribe, you cannot join the group. Okay? But I'm not strict, at least now, because it's initial stages for PEN. Okay? But you gotta collect investor leads, you gotta have an investor database. Otherwise, you look back 12 months later and say, well, what's really happening? That's what's gonna happen. Okay? The same applies to, for example, anyone who's looking for investors. It doesn't really matter if you're sourcing deals or if you are looking for hard money lenders to help you in your next project. The same rule applies. It's the same investor database that you can send a message to and say, we've got this deal in front of us. We need someone who can bring in the money, the equity funding for this project. This is how much we need. This is how much the profit is going to be. And you're more likely, if you're sitting on a 10,000 investor database list, you're more likely to have a few reply back to you and say, let's have a look at the numbers. Is everyone on the same page with this?
Yeah.
Yes, Jack.
If you are sitting on a 500 email database list, and if you send a message, you'd be lucky if you get maybe 2 or 3 people reply to you. Okay, that's the numbers. You normally get about 1 to 3% of people engaged and speaking with you, and lesser than that actually investing in you. Okay, but if you're sitting on 10,000 people, you've got a sustainable business now. There's a difference between traffic that is owned by someone else and traffic that's owned by you. Traffic that is owned by someone else is like Facebook. If you have a Facebook group, if Facebook decides tomorrow that they're going to block you, that's the end of it. That's the traffic that you don't own. It's as soon as you collect the emails from that and it goes on to your email database, or you bring them into, let's say, WhatsApp, for example. WhatsApp so far does not have any restrictions. It may have them in future, we don't know. But at the moment, it doesn't have any restrictions. If you bring them into your WhatsApp group, that's owned traffic, okay? While if it's traffic sitting on LinkedIn groups or Facebook groups, or for that matter, any third-party channel, that's not traffic that you own. You can lose that traffic overnight, okay? Day before yesterday, the girl who works for us from India, she got blocked on Facebook, okay? I had actually initially instructed her to maybe only spend half an hour a day on Facebook and half an hour a day on LinkedIn. I think she probably went a bit more. She got blocked, okay? And the reason I'm sharing, like I said, this with you is that lead generation, you gotta own this lead generation and the database, which means you have the emails and the phone numbers, not just emails, but the phone numbers, because opening ratio of emails is much, much lower than opening ratio of WhatsApp or text messages. Are you guys with me? Say aye, say yes.
Yes.
Okay. If you are sitting on 1,000 investor database, you do not have a sustainable business. If you're sitting on 2,000, you'd be lucky if you can just pay your bills. Okay. It's when you get to 5,000 plus and 10,000 plus is when you have a sustainable business, as well as the fact that you can get on to 6-figure and double 6-figure and 7-figure income. Okay? Because when you get to 10,000, you don't have to present to them a property deal. You can just present to them, you know what, I've got this book that I wrote down, for example, HMO conversion. Would you like to buy it? You send it to 10,000 people. Let's say about 5% of them buy. How many is that? 50 people? 10 about a book, that's 5,000 people. In one single email, that's 5,000 people, 5,000 in your pocket. Are you guys with me? Okay, so let's say you wake up tomorrow morning and you're struggling with cash flow and you want to generate 5,000 now. That's a one single email gone and 5,000 in your pocket. Okay, you can sell someone else's book. They'll still give you £5 out of it. Okay, but it has to be someone that's in your niche and on your strategy rather than something externally. Okay, because you want to add value to your investor database on your own strategy rather than, you know, here and there. Does that make sense, guys? Okay, it's when you are sitting on a certain number of investor database lists, it's when you will have a sustainable business. Even if, let's say, for example, like Lavanya was here, and let's say Muzzy is here as well. Okay, Muzzy, let's say Muzzy wants to do a flip deal in the next 6 months. Okay, Muzzy, do you want to do a flip deal in the next 6 months?
Oh, I'd love to, yeah.
You'd love to? Okay. Let's say you go and find something. Now, finding these deals isn't rocket science. I think by now you've learned all of that. You have? Okay. So let's say you decide to do a flip deal tomorrow, but you don't have the money. How are you going to find these hard money lenders?
I'd have to reach out to my investor database, my
Fantastic.
network.
But what would it take for you to really be able to find that investor?
I'd say consistently building that network and being public to them, let them know what it is that you're doing consistent.
It's a numbers game, guys. You send a message to 1,000 people, you're more likely to maybe have 1 or 2 or 3 people reply back to you and say, we are ready with money. Okay. But when you're sitting on 10,000, you'll have loads of people replying back to you. Okay. So you at that point, your chances of being able to raise finance increases as many folds as you have in your investor database. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. I would collect emails and I'd also collect mobile numbers. Okay. Because email reply or email attention is a lot lesser than text message or WhatsApp. Okay, so far we've been playing a lot with WhatsApp. Now we are ready to play with text messages as well as emails. Okay, now we've created, for example, at this back end of Pen, we've now got 3 different email lists. Okay, they all have 3 different purposes, so they are completely different from each other. Okay, these email lists and text message software platforms are not very expensive. Okay, especially the email ones are very cheap, £20, £10 a month, stuff like that. Text messages one are still slightly more expensive. Okay, but starting from clarity, raise your hand if you still don't have clarity to the direction you have in the first place. Because if you don't have clarity, you're not going anywhere. Anyone here who does not have clarity except Deep, obviously you're new. Has everyone got clarity to what they want to pursue?
Yes.
Yeah.
You can pivot, but once your initial strategy is profitable. If you pivot before that, you have no one to blame but yourself.
But just to add on that one, Jack, what you said about looking for the investors who are willing to invest money. So just in case, like, you have investors who are willing to invest money, but when it comes to them asking your financial position, you have to be in a position as well to do half and half, because if you're looking forward for them or propose them to invest, let's say most of the money, it just never works. They always want to, okay, because number of times I get the proposal, they will be like, okay, you put the money and we do the work and we have 50-50. In some cases, they will be like, okay, I'll put the 50-50 and then we'll split the 50-50. It doesn't happen. What kind of skill set you have, what legwork you do. Mm-hmm.
Geeta, I can show you, and I can show you, in fact, we're getting a deal done right now. The investor is bringing all the money in, and it's a 50-50 deal. It happens all day long, every day. Speak with a million investors and they'll tell you how it works. Like I said, we're working on, in fact, not even 1, but 2.
Okay, but it would be something now, like, for example, if the investor is very skilled himself, then probably he may not accept that proposal, because most of the time what happens is...
It's a numbers game, Geeta. It's a numbers game. You're not speaking with enough investors. Okay? If you have a seasoned investor on board, they're more likely to be busy with 3-4 deals anyway, and they probably have extra money sitting around. At that point, they want human resources. So that means they want skilled people to be able to leverage their money more. That's where we come in the picture. Okay? It's a numbers game. You're just not speaking with enough investors, Geeta. Okay? This happens all day long, every day, every moment. I can show you on Facebook, I can show you behind us what we are doing, and I can show you a million other people. Okay? That one investor would bring in the equity, you'll get the debt from the banks, and then the deal is done with 50-50, as an investor gets 50, and the person who's getting the work done gets 50. Okay? And this happens on not just smaller scale, I'm talking about £100 million worth of deals. Okay? We have one deal on the table at the moment, which requires £100 million worth of funding. Okay, so for 100 million, we'll need about 12 to 13 million in equity funding, and it's a 142 million GDV project. I'm actually trying to get that deal done. Okay, when you come and see me next week, whenever you come and see me next time, come and ask me, and I'll show you the figures behind the scenes. Okay, can I get that deal done? The answer is I don't know yet. Okay, because of COVID, a lot of funds have pulled out. Okay, but what I'm saying is it happens all day long, every day. Okay, especially family offices, aristocratic families who bring in all the money, hedge fund managers, for example, people who own hedge funds, they make between $1 million all the way up to 200, 300 million a year. And these guys are sitting on loads of cash while they cannot actually manage that money, or while they cannot actually invest the money themselves. They look for people like us to be able to invest that money. It's just that those guys will not invest in a project that's worth 200,000. They will invest in a project that's 5 million. In fact, let me share with you something that a lot of people don't realize. It's actually a lot easier when you're doing a project worth 5 and 10 million. It's easier to find investors rather than when you're doing 200 or 300,000 man projects. Okay? Because when you're working on 5 and 10 million, investors know that you know what you're doing, you're skilled at what you do. When you're doing smaller projects, investors tend to not trust you as much. Are you with me?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so it's actually easier to find investors for very, very large deals than for smaller deals.
Yeah,
But
but the
again,
question come back. Do I trust myself for that deal?
Go ahead. So, sorry?
No, but I'm saying the question come back. Do I really trust myself for that big deal at this stage? Probably not.
Well, if you don't trust yourself, who would trust you then?
Saying at this stage. I'm saying at this stage because if you're
learn the skills, learn the skills. I wish things happen in a day. They don't. It takes a lifetime to learn certain skills, and I'm still yet to get to the most difficult bit, which is communication, which is sales and marketing skills. Okay. It takes a lifetime to learn marketing skills. You don't learn them in a day. It takes a lifetime skills to be able to become a full stack developer. You don't become a developer in a day. Okay. I can give you multiple examples, not just one. We have Raj in the group, for example. He's a part of the management as well. He hasn't become a developer in a day. He joined his family business when he was 16, 15 years old, and he is 37 now, so almost 20 years. He's been doing small refurbs behind the scene. It's eventually from that point, we did a 4 million GDP project. Okay, so he didn't just get there in a day. It took him almost 20 years of his life. Okay, you can learn the skills, but you gotta trust yourself. If you don't trust yourself, you're gonna find it very, very difficult to trust for anyone to trust you. Okay, do you think everything that I do is perfect? Nowhere close to it. Nowhere close to it. Like absolutely nowhere close. Okay, but when I wake up in the morning, the first thing that I have always fed in my mind is that I believe in myself, that I can do things, I can make things happen. Okay? Shall we move on to the most important one, which is communication, which is sales skills? Okay? And we've covered this a million times, but I'm going to cover it again because this is I just cannot insist enough how important this is. Okay? I'm actually going to take a quick break because I want to grab some water. Okay?
How are you doing, Sati?
How are you? You okay?
Not bad, mate. Not bad. How's things?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Just grafting.
Sati has come on board with R2R. Mazid, you know that?
Yes.
I think they're leveraging on each other's strengths anyway.
Yes. Join the crew.
Do you know what? I just wanted to share something with you guys. You know, Jack, you were saying about like obviously it's why are you doing what you do? You've got to monetize from it. You've got to turn around and perform from it. And you've got to turn around and be profitable from it. And it's so key that I speak to Harry this morning. Harry kind of reached out about something to me this morning. And I was just kind of helping him out behind the scenes a little bit. I just said to him, okay, look, like we all know, just pick one thing. I've done all the courses. Don't take me wrong. I've done the commercial or residential. I've spent the £20,000 doing it. What have I done with it? Nothing. Got the knowledge from it. When the opportunity comes up, something will come up. But start small and start somewhere. Like we've got the 300 letting banked money coming in, month out. And we thought, you know what? And it was just like a bit of a mindset change. And I kind of got inspired a bit because of obviously this group as well, because people were doing it and you're coming out of your comfort zones to do certain things or whatever as well. And just leveraging off each other and working each other out and just saying like, start something small, pick up one, pick up another, do the one kind of module, what you want to basically look at doing, sales thing. And then every year, in 5 years' time, you look back and you've got 5 different things bringing you 5 different revenues of money. Yeah. Even if you've only got about 5 to 10 properties doing SAs and 5 to 10 properties giving you R2 HMOs, you ain't going to go wrong with it.
Absolutely.
If you just look at the rent-to-rent portfolio that's just come about in Sunderland, that's just replacing a full, really good salary just with one single deal. Yeah. It's 26 units, 6 HMOs. In fact, in a single place, this is not too far, just in one single place. Yeah. And that's only a work worth, 1 or 1.5 days a week. So you can invest the rest of the time and be on a 6-figure income pretty quickly. Okay? The person who has agreed so far, the first one is Daryl, and I think Lydia is second in the queue for it. Okay? You got to grab the opportunity when it comes to you. Okay? But coming back to what the subject of today is, that you got to stick to your lane, you got to stick to your strategy, and you got to be able to generate leads. Okay? It's very, very simple. Generating leads isn't just rocket science. You know, you speak with people and you got to get to know what is it that they want. I mean, I think on average about 6 or 7 people message me every day, like every day. Can you help me find a deal, or can you help me with finance? And then if I can help them there and then, great. If not, they get a link to my email subscription list. Okay? Or if not, that they get a link to one of our WhatsApp groups. Okay? Every person that has got in touch with me for the past 2 years and precisely 8 or 9 months now, that person has been, the lead has been captured. So the lead has been captured. It's because I know the importance of that lead. I know that that lead may not convert now, but it will convert over a period of time. It's either come to for example, my contacts in my list, or it has gone to WhatsApp group, or it has gone to in my email list. Okay? And then over a period of time, you convert that lead. Is everyone clear on the basics of that?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Clear.
Now down to sales. Okay? I think that's where most people struggle with. Seti, what are your thoughts on that? How do you close a deal? I wanna see a different perspective here. When someone calls you up and says, a landlord, we've got a property that we're gonna rent it out.
Yeah.
And what do you say on the phone? And when you visit them, what do you say? Just share something with us. I want a different perspective on this.
So we take, we do like 3-4 touch points basically. So on the first call, when the person's called us in, we take information, all the information about the property, you know, obviously the details and whatever not in regards to what they are, how long they've been living there, what's the reasoning behind why they're leaving or kind of moving on or whatever not as well. And then kind of send them an email. So the second touch point is obviously an email we send over to them. Third touch point is a text message via the system that we've got to confirm the time again. So that's third. So then they're really kind of picking up in regards to what kind of service we're doing. And then a day before that, again, we're just confirming it. An hour before, we'll ring them up again to say, just confirming that we're going to be going there as well. And then also another question we throw in there as well, even though you can go on Street View, things change. Just if they parking, is there parking outside the property? Is there, or do we park on a drive? You ask their permission. You don't just kind of rock up there. So these touch points are very important. And then aftercare is where you generate the business. I mean, if you're there and they sign the terms and conditions, very unlikely they're going to do that because they're always going to have time to think. We don't go in there with a heavy-handed salesy thing where sign our documents now. And
so what do you do? So let me just try and give more clarity to everyone. Let's say you walk in.
Yeah.
And I am the landlord.
Okay.
Hey, Seti, what's happening? Thank you for coming.
No problems at all. Thank you for having us and giving us the opportunity. So just wanted to double check all the information that we've got. You've got a 4-bedroom property here with 2 receptions. Would you like to take me around? And then we get the landlord to lead us to basically, because you're empowering them to turn around and show what they've got. And that will make them feel comfortable as well. You don't just open up the doors and start going through properties and whatever not. You're empowering the individual. It's the same thing when you've got an agent there as well. You go and view. If a property is being sourced by an agent, empower the agent to take you around rather than open doors up and start acting like you own the property. Because that can put people off as well, as in they're going to be like, you know, is this the right kind of person for it? And do you remember one thing, sometimes as well, agents are not the owners of the property, but they can make decisions without the owner ever knowing.
That's right, yes. So at what point do you propose them that this is the service we can provide?
Never on the phone. So the initial meeting, we highlight services. I never discuss fees over the phone. That's one thing we never do, ever, ever, ever. Because if it's a fee kind of orientated individual, he's going to turn around and say, the guy down the road, because there's so many estates, and I'll give you this, yeah, they're offering this price, can you match it? If I've got that kind of personnel who's ringing me up and saying that, can you do that? Then I'm going to know I'm going to be battling this individual all the way through. Because every time it's going to be like, I've got someone who can do it for this much. Why are you charging this much? It's going to be
a bad lead. That's just a bad lead, yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to be the thing. So we never discuss that. Only when we see the person face to face is then we break down the information. But like I said, the aftercare call, which we do the following day, one of the girls do this, not us, because that's again, it's the strategy behind this and psychology behind this. Even if you've got, obviously not a team, but you've got a wife or a partner or someone that you can trust to make this phone call for you, a female is a deal closer. Guys are very receptive to female voices. It's natural, isn't it?
That's true. That's true. Strangely enough, but that's true. That's why a lot of people prefer to have a female voice behind the phone.
Yeah.
As well as in many cases, people want to have female as the front face.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also on leaflets, it's been proven as well that if you have a female name on the leaflet,
they're more likely to call.
More likely to call you back,
yeah.
In fact, you're right. I did leaflets some time ago, and I put a name for women because I knew that the conversion rate is higher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Seti, so at what point do you actually propose the services?
On the day when we go there and we talk to them. Yeah, I've got, we have, I wish I was in the office now. We've got a proper booklet brochure thing that we hand out. We have inserts in it, so we go through the whole thing. I don't do, when I go for valuations, agents will be in there within 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and off to the next one. They're always in a rush. I like to stay there for a minimum of an hour. I'm that individual who likes to have that coffee and tea.
I will add something here, Seti, for everyone.
Yeah.
Before you open your mouth and say, I want to propose my services now, or I want to show someone a project that I want the investor to invest in, either you're sourcing or you're looking for a hard money lender, before you propose, I would ask myself in my mind, do I know this person well enough? Do I know the main emotional trigger to propose the services which will press that emotional button? If you haven't got to that point so far, you cannot propose. Okay? Let's say someone calls you up and says, you know what, I have been following you on social. This is what happens. This is something that happens with me all the time. In fact, it happened this morning. Someone called me up, said, you know, I've been following you on social media for some time, and we've been connected for a year and a half. Yeah, I said, yeah, I remember you're connected with me. And could you tell me a bit more about this service? I said, okay, I'll tell you a bit more. So I explained the service. I'm not talking about money at home, okay? Then I started asking about her. Tell me about yourself. Where are you based? What do you do? What is it that you want to achieve in the next few years? You're going back to the grow model here, but I'm not going to use the grow model. I'm just going to give you a simple example, okay? I said, where do you want to be in the next 5 years? Okay, what is the aim? She said, this is what I do, and this is what my aim is, okay? Her aim was that she wanted a bigger network to be able to dig into, where she can get more deals to be able to present to her investors. I said, okay, that's fine, but what is the ultimate aim? Because this looked like the short-term, immediate need that she has. I said, what is the ultimate aim here? She goes, I want to grow my own portfolio. That's what she said. Okay, that's fine. And you want to be able to do that how? She said, I want to be able to do smaller developments and grow my portfolio from there. Okay, great. Why do you want to do that? She goes, you know, because I want to spend more time with my family, so on and so forth. You're going to find this very strange that every time you dig deeper, every human being at the core is the same. They're going to tell you we want to spend more time with ourselves, more time with our family, we want to take more holidays, we want exactly the same things. And regardless of where that person is from, the person could be from Africa or some part of Asia or very, very British, very American, doesn't really matter which part of the world that person is from, you're going to get very, very similar answers. until you haven't reached that point where you know what is the emotional trigger, you cannot propose your services. Is everyone with me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Because at that point, when you start to propose your services, so let's say for SETI, it could be, we provide these letting management services. Or for Muzzy, it could be, you know, I've got this rent-to-rent deal. Or for example, Lavanya, it could be, you know, there is a development deal, let's do it together. It doesn't really matter. At the core of it, they want to see how they can leverage their money more, leverage their time more, eventually leading to that emotional need that they have, which is spending more time with family, spending more time with friends, spending more time with themselves, being able to enjoy music, being able to do whatever it is that they haven't done in their life. For me, it could be as simple as I want to do, you know, for example, I want to take martial art classes, okay? I've always been a martial art fan. I don't get enough time to attend martial art classes. That's my emotional trigger. I want to spend more time with my daughter, my family, right? That's my emotional trigger, okay? So if anyone here can help me leverage my money and my time, allowing me to achieve my emotional requirement, then you've got me. Whatever you propose to me at that time, if it matches my requirement, I will go for it. But for that, before you propose, you need to understand the emotional, and I insist on emotional, not logical. We are not logic humans, okay? We take, in fact, there's a lot of research behind this, is that we take decisions emotionally and try to prove them logically. We'll take a decision saying, you know what, I want to buy this car, okay? And you try and prove it, oh, this was in my budget, and this was, you know, a good car, the feature was good or whatever. But if you dig a bit deeper, right, there's an emotional need. Maybe you want to show that car to someone, maybe you want to prove yourself to someone in and around you. There is some sort of emotional need. It's never, ever, almost never the logical need, okay? If you are making money, if you're trying to make large sums of money, try and contemplate that, is it a logical need or an emotional need? It's most likely going to be an emotional need. We just try and prove it logically. Oh, we need more money for safety. Safety of what? Safety of family, okay? Safety of what? Safety of freedom, okay? As soon as you dig deeper, it's always an emotional reason. And until you do not have that emotional reason of the person you're talking with, you cannot propose your services. You cannot talk about money, okay? If it takes you 5 minutes or it takes you 2 hours, you have to dig deeper into the emotional reason for why is it that they're doing what they're doing now, and why is it that they want to achieve a certain result. Is everyone with me on that?
Yes.
Yep.
I can assure you, you will go and read 1,000 books, and at the core, you're going to find just a simple process that I've just shared with you in the last half an hour, okay? And literally coming from experience, that I've read hundreds and thousands of books, and I've spoken with hundreds and thousands of business people in my life, and I'm talking about some really, really big, I'm talking about some 7 billionaires that I've worked with in my life, okay? I've actually sat down and pitched in a board meeting of a company listed at 11 billion cap, okay? And I can assure you, this is the simple process. If you follow that to the core, to the T, I promise you, you will get there every single time. Anything that you say, you need to think in your mind twice to what kind of perception you're creating about yourself. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. But what exactly are you on about in terms of, if you follow this, what rule are you talking about? Because I got a bit lost.
We're talking about a model called Grow.
Okay, I watched that.
You watched that, yeah? We're talking about sales deep here, okay? So let's say you start selling deals, okay? You cannot sell a deal to someone unless you know that person well enough. Okay, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about sales and marketing skills. We're talking about communication skills.
Emotion. You said something. Empathy. And that's it. You have to be empathetic.
It is empathy skills. It's basically getting to know your client or your prospect well enough before you propose your services. That's what we're talking about.
Okay.
Again, you are new, you're very young, you will get more clarity over a period of time, okay? But this is just a start for you. Okay? Hamil, do you have any questions?
No, clear at the moment, thank you.
Lydia, do you have any questions?
Oh, good, Jack.
Keep your humor always in the midst of this communication. Mazi, any questions, buddy?
I'm all good, thank you.
Fantastic. Seti, do you have any questions?
For once, no.
Fantastic. Lavanya, you're here. Do you have any questions? Praveen sir, do you have any questions? Guys, I'm actually going to stop the recording and then we'll continue. Okay? So thank you for watching, guys.